Okay, this is sort of part two to the follow-up of the last video when I talked about information givers or reality providers, okay? And I've covered this actually at length in the very beginning of the first videos that I did. Because when you think about what a qualifier and a given is, there's always going to be some information that I left out that I need to qualify in order for the full picture to sort of be perceived if you're going to perceive it in the way that I present it. And that is that when I was a child, I realized by reading a newspaper, that's not a world I want to live in, so I don't. And that's easy to do because all I have to do is separate my consciousness from that, go live in nature to be with the girl and the planet and everything that is in nature. Now I'm experiencing who she is with her in spirit and everything else that is in spirit that is out in nature. So everything that I'm experiencing every day is not what others experience. Okay? However, what I begin to become aware of is that the water is not as pure as it was. I begin to realize that the air that I'm breathing is not as pure as it was. The oxygen content is not as high as it was. I'm realizing that the soil has been contaminated. I'm beginning to realize and become aware that there is something present in this reality, okay, in this planet, that is seeking to destroy that which we give love to. So I become aware that there is self-destructive or destructive beings that are causing the air to be polluted, causing the water that I drink to be polluted. So I begin to realize that it's not only me that's being affected by that, but everything that I'm giving love to that's in nature. Whether it's a deer, whether it's a bear, whether it's a fish, whether it's a fox, whether it's an eagle, whether it's a robin, whether it's a songbird, doesn't matter. They're all affected by it, including the bees and all the pollinators, which means they're destroying our living nature. The provider of the natural resources is being destroyed. So if you are a steward of this land, then we have a responsibility to be aware of those that are doing it. And the reason that the level of the biofeedback and the pH levels of this planet and the level of the contamination that has taken place is a result of the programming. So when you're aware of the programming in childhood, because the difference in the people that are aware of the reality that they're in don't realize how the reality is being programmed to experience what it is that they experience that they have no way to escape from because they don't know how to escape from that because they don't know the real reality. They don't have a frame of reference. That's one of the first things that I looked at when I was young. How were they programming the collapse of a species on their own timeline? Why were all these people seeking to destroy each other and kill each other off and eat things and produce things that not only pollute the air, the water, and the soil, but these are the actual agents in which people are exposed to that cause them to be in a state of acidic state of mind in which they're essentially draining their own battery, which is killing their own selves off. Why would they do that to themselves? Lack of knowledge, lack of light. Now, of course, this gets into everything that I covered about genetics, electrical wars, information wars. Even Kim Lagoon talked about the psychotronic generators that they had in place, which essentially means you're getting information you become aware of and you don't know the difference between what's true and what's not true. And you end up recording that information, you operate off that information, which means you're operating off your unconscious memory to run the program that they wrote into your unconscious mind. So, as an indigenous Indian to this planet, I know the difference between what I am and what I'm not, and I'm not going to be doing things to destroy my own biosphere. You think? They didn't know that. So the only way that the beings that are indigenous, that are the children of Mother Earth, they have to have on a higher state of awareness in order to protect this place against stuff like that, right? You think? So that's why we love you, is because we're the ones that are supposed to be taking care of this place, right? To see to it that we are the peacekeepers, the healers, and the teachers down here. Those are the indigenous tribes. Because when you examine to see how they live, okay, we don't live the same way. Why? Because we know how to thrive. Living in Mother Nature, living in peace, harmony, and balance with the great living spirit of Mother Nature. So we don't experience all the negative biofeedback that comes back to us, where we're always sick and going to a doctor to get their drugs and pounding into our bodies all the poisons that they put on their supermarket shelves and their stores that keeps making these demons filthy rich. And what do they do with all that money? Look around. So that's why that had to be disassembled, completely torn down and removed. Right? You want to return sanity to this planet? Because the difference between knowing what the truth is and not knowing what the truth is knowing the difference between love and fear. That's why trauma was their biggest tool, which was to traumatize the heart, turn it cold, shut your furnace off. Now you're easy to control. Now you're in a state of fear because you're in fear of the higher authority that is an abuser. So the abuse leads to self-abuse. And people become trapped. And that trap really is nothing more than electrical resistance that people can't break through